Well, welcome back, everyone. Oh, we made it through the open today.
We did. We're off to a good start.
That's fantastic. Last week, you might recall that we said we were going to talk about a very important subject to a lot of people, which is how much money do you need for your retirement? At all stages of your career, how much money should you be planning on making to be able to retire? However, we're going to postpone that for 1 week. And the reason is that one of the biggest economic experiments in our age came to a close this week. And we talked a lot about it over the weeks, quantitative easing. So for our viewers, I just want to go back a little bit. Quantitative easing was an experiment that the Fed took on right at the height of the recession to try to protect the economy from falling into a complete depression.
Right.
What was quantitative easing?
I'm glad you asked that because, it seemed like a really complicated way to describe something that's very simple. It's asset buying.
Yes, right.
The Federal Reserve took monies out and purchased debt in the open market. They went out and purchased treasuries, went out and bought debt securities from the other institutions, and the purpose of it was really to provide liquidity or to get monies flowing into the other parts of the economy, not to get it out of bonds, to get it out of debt and get it into equities, get it into small businesses, spur the banks to lend. That was the original goal.
Interesting caveat on this one, right? Unlike the traditional borrowing, the major institutions borrowing bonds short-term drive interest rates down to give more liquidity. They printed money, trillions.
Right. So
now there's an interesting concept. If you don't have it, make it.
Well, that's one of the benefits of being the global
the
reserve
Fed.
currency. The Treasury and the Fed kind of collaborated here in printing or creating out of thin air currency in order to buy treasuries.
Dangerous.
And so it was, like we said, it was perilous times, difficult times. We're a lot of us looking on saying it was something that they didn't want to do, but they felt they had to do.
Right. Now, okay, fast forward. We're sitting here today. The program is ending. Was it a success?
Oh, my goodness, Jesse. Right. There's so many different views on this, and there's so many different ways to measure this. But I guess the one thing that I look at is the only way to see if this was a success is once we turn the tap off, how does the markets react?
Right.
Do we go back to functioning efficiently? Are we in an open market where we can start to find price discovery for these assets? So the real measure of whether it was a success or not starts today.
Well, you know what? You've said, how many times have you said, in this kind of economy that moves so rapidly, stay calm, stay consistent. Stock market's up over 200 points today.
Yep.
Oh my God, those kinds of wild swings is something that, how do you measure success? How do you measure what your steps should be?
Yeah.
So with quantitative easing stopping, do you think that'll have an effect on the stock market in the weeks to come?
I guess the 30-second answer, Jesse, to a really good question is there's so much that isn't known, and like you said, this was unprecedented. It was something that we had never done before, and so for us to project what the possible outcomes could be, might be going forward, I think it's difficult to do, and I think there's a lot of intellectual people out there far smarter than me that are more than willing to admit that they're not so certain as to the direction. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty there just because we're in uncharted territory.
Well, the guidelines that we kind of follow is how's the stock market doing? We already know the answer to that. What's the unemployment rate? We already kind of know the answer to that, right?
It's been improving,
Sure, so that the economy is also growing faster than anticipated.
Yeah, you've got GDP growth at 3.5% for the third quarter. Unemployment levels low. Like you said, the stock market, one of the things that we look at, improving, consistently improving and getting better. Interest rates, 30-year mortgage interest rates.
Yeah, the lowest, right?
Below 4% right now. So there's a lot of measures, a lot of different things that we look for to measure how things are progressing that are very favorable, that are very positive. And seeing that number, 3.5% growth for third quarter, that sets us up hopefully for fourth quarter looking at a good solid number.
Well, fourth quarter being particularly important to business, to retailers.
Sure.
Big buying season, holidays, gifts, and all of these other things.
Yes.
That the momentum seems, I guess the phrase is the wind at your back, right? It seems like with these good signs and these good numbers, we're probably pretty well positioned for a good fourth quarter and end the year off on a positive note.
Well, you make a good point because the Federal Reserve is trying to look forward in their predictives, in the things that they're doing, and so for them to be hawkish in the economy, for them to be turning off quantitative easing, and to feel like the U.S. economy is on strong enough legs that they can turn these things down to stop, to not need to do them, suggests that they see fourth quarter, first quarter next year as continuing to improve. And that, to us on the outside looking in, say, you know, that's a good encouraging sign.
Well, you know, Steph, I really want to thank you. Your whole explanation throughout these last months on quantitative easing and how to stay consistent and what to look for in developing your portfolio has been really very helpful to me personally, and I know to our viewers. We just learn a lot from you. Hard to believe I'd learn anything from you, but I can't.
You know, it's amazing. We talk cars, we talk all that stuff, but yeah, this has been an area where, you know, this is everybody. People are taking care of their own pensions, their own retirements. These are things that the average American, I think, is more than ever aware of what's going on and is concerned. Like as we go into the elections, there's a lot of concern, a lot of these things. I think it's good that we're talking about them.
Well, you ready for a segue?
Yes.
All this makes me happy.
Oh, good.
And
I like
since
to
I'm
make you
in
happy, yes.
Saratoga and I'm happy,
You're in the happiest place in the world? Which I thought was Disney. Did we supplant Disney on this?
I think we might have. We're referring to something that came out today that said in New York State, Saratoga is the happiest place to live.
You know, and I can see why in a lot of levels, right? You know, we very low crime rate. You know, you talk about how vibrant and diverse this economy is, how much we've grown. We look at all the construction, all the development in this area that we've become so much more robust. So many other things that are there. There's a lot of ingredients. You know, the gateway to the Adirondacks, all that stuff. So yeah, it really, really is the place to be, I think.
I'm trying to figure out who are the people that sit around and try to figure these surveys out.
Yeah, I'm like, you know,
I want that job. That's the job I want. I want to walk around the country, the state, trying to figure out the happiest place to live.
I like it.
And also the average median income in Saratoga County is high.
It was surprising.
Second to White Plains, which really shocked me.
You know, isn't that surprising?
I
Yeah,
know.
over 60,000.
That's right.
On the income side, and that really, really surprised me. I mean, that's above the national average by quite a bit. But that talks, you know, we've talked about this again and again, the advantages of having a community with universities, the advantages of having a community with a strong government presence, the advantages of all the small business growth, the technology in Malta, all the different things working in our favor. It's lifting everybody up together. And so there's a lot to be excited about.
Well, that's great. We're out of time. Boy, we have a lot of things to cover. And next week, we are definitely going to get into this retirement planning issue.
Yeah.
You know, I just think, again, it's the end of the year.
Yeah.
People look back on what they accomplished this year, looking forward to what they want to change or what they want to accomplish
Do you do New Year's
in the year to
resolutions?
come. I'm afraid to do them, actually.
All right. So we'll talk about
That's just a bunch of broken promises.
All right, forget New Year's resolution, but new fresh start for the year.
That's great. So happy Halloween to you. I want to compliment you on this costume.
Well, you know, thank you.
That's the Wolf of Wall Street costume?
Yeah, that could be.
Is
That
that
could
what it
be.
is?
I'm just glad you didn't say like Frank Sinatra or something. Right?
Yeah, no, that's my
that would be
generation.
yours.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
that's good. Well, thanks, Steph,
Thanks,
and
Jesse.
thank you for
Pleasure.
this information. It's very valuable
Always
to
fun.
us.
Thank you.
Okay? See this interview again, head to our website, looktvonline.com. Now let's take a look at what's happening in your neighborhood.